Hello and welcome to Race to Your Career, the podcast series brought to you by the British Horse Racing Authority's Careers in Racing team. My name's Noor and I'll be your host as we dive into the world of horse racing. Now, if you've ever wondered what it takes to get a racecourse ready for racing and how the grounds always look so good, then you're in luck. Because today I'll be talking to members of the ground staff team all about their careers in horse racing.
In an ideal world, money and objects, I'd just be at the races every day of the week, just sat there in the stands, enjoying myself, watching all the horses, seeing them in the parade ring.
It's a Roomba lawnmower.
He's actually been nicknamed Fred.
What would you say the worst parts of your role are?
The weather can be such a challenge.
And they even gave him a bicycle, so
It's really lovely.
You could get to work every day.
Right, so I'm joined by Alan and Andrew, who work here at the Jockey Club. Would you mind both introducing yourselves? We can start with you, Alan.
So I'm Alan Hatherley. I am the estates manager here at Newmarket. I've been here for just gone 20 years.
And I'm Andrew Morris. I'm head of racing at Newmarket, and I'm pretty new in the position. I've only been here 5 months.
Well, you said that you've been in the industry for quite some time, so how did you actually get started in your career?
Oh, good question. So I grew up in Cheltenham, obviously the home of national hunt racing. So was a passionate kind of jump racing fan when I grew up, and sort of been around horses when I grew up. Went to university, did a degree in history, which was interesting. Didn't have a clue what I wanted to do afterwards. Saw a placement for the BHA, BHB at that point, graduate summer sort of placement scheme, which I applied for, got a place. It was a tremendous time, 2 months, and I was placed at a racecourse in Surrey at Sandown. Got to the end of 2 months and still didn't know what to do. Got the opportunity to stay and have just never left.
And you've been in your role for over 20 years, so how did you get started, Alan?
So I took a very different journey to Andrew. I like a lot of little boys, I wanted to play football. Thought that I was going to play football. Didn't. So I fell out of school at 16. And then saw a job advertised as a greenkeeper. Thought it's outside, it's sport. So I applied for that, got that job, and then went to college. It wasn't quite an apprenticeship, but I went to college 1 day a week for the following 5-6 years. And then thought, do you know what, I'd like to get into racing. I like horse racing. I've been coming racing here with my parents and my grandparents since I was 3 years old. Found a job at God's Polo Club down in Windsor Great Park. Went there, thought that's horses, that's halfway there. So went there, then it's close enough. Then went to Windsor Racecourse. I was there for 2 years, and then a job came up here, and I thought, why not?
Never looked back.
Never looked back. No. So I came here as a groundsman. 12 months later, I was made assistant head groundsman, and then 18 months after that, I was made estates manager. And
You've been here ever since.
Been here ever since.
So what is it like working at a racecourse?
It's hard work, but it's very rewarding. It really is rewarding. It's what you get at the end of it on a race day. At the end of it, we're working towards a final product, being that race day, and whether it's a Tuesday afternoon or whether it's the Saturday of the 2,000 Guineas, that's what all of our efforts goes in towards. To know that people are paying to come to the venue that you've produced and the site that you've presented the best you can, and they're enjoying the day out. You hear nice compliments, and you know that is being broadcast all over the world. You've got the world's best horses performing. It's very rewarding, and you feel like the hard work is worth it.
Yeah. I can imagine. What about you, Andrew, from your side of things?
I think the hardest thing to explain to people is you only see a horse on race days. People have this illusion, I think, that on a race course you're constantly around horses. There's horses here constantly. You have to be used to handling them, caring for them. And actually, we have 37 fixtures here this year, and that's the only time that we'll see a horse here. So the days in between, as Alan said, for me, the great satisfaction is we're preparing for something. We're always building up for something. And for us, there's huge satisfaction in preparing the track, the racing surface, the other facilities to welcome the stars of our sport. And that's really our job. I think our job is to prepare the facilities to allow the stars of our sport, the superstars, to perform. And we do that in a way that, we're incredibly proud of. And I think that's what gives us the biggest satisfaction, I would say.
Yeah.
There's a moment probably on the morning of a race day, for me anyway, when you look around and you look at the way the facility's been presented, the way the lawns, the flowers, and you just think, you've been part of the team that's built up towards that. And now you're going to welcome 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people to enjoy the day. And I think that for me, that's the huge amount of pleasure I get.
Yeah.
So it's like you're setting up the stage for all this time, and then you kind of get to see it play out. And
the best way I can describe it, and it's probably not a great thing, is if you were in a theatre and you were building a stage or you were building a set or something, they do a huge amount of work to build the theatre and the set and the staging, and then the actors and the actresses go and perform, and that's similar to what we do. We set up the facilities to allow those horses and jockeys to go and perform.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility. But I mean, just looking out at the track, it's clear that you spend quite a lot of time doing what you do. There's a lot of prep that goes in. There's a lot of thought, a lot of science. So what does preparing for a race meeting actually look like?
So the preparation starts well in advance of a race day, with various things, whether that's rail movements, the weather, going descriptions, and irrigation. But one thing that I was told on many occasions by Andrew's predecessor was prepare to fail to prepare. And it is true. With regards to the actual preparation, I would liaise with Andrew, and that revolves around irrigation, rail movements, mowing. But then the actual preparation for a race day, we would ensure that everything is cut, all lawns are mown, every other bit of grass is cut, hedges are all trimmed. Try to make sure there's no weeds anywhere on site. And then the general site presentation of blowing through, cleaning, and then, mowing of the track. And just to make sure that the place looks actually at its best, or the best that we can do.
Quite a big job. And what about you, Andrew?
So I guess really the preparation for me would start with the year before. We would work with the BHA to gain our fixture list for the year ahead, so the race dates that we're going to race on, when we're going to race. And then from there, we actually would set the type of races that we're going to run and the prize money that we put towards each race. So the race planning side of it, so that can be published to allow owners and trainers to know what type of races we're running, so they can target their horses at where they want to run. Past that point, for me then, it's key really. I see my job as to enable Alan and his team to do their role. So I'm there to support and to help, and we would discuss the key decisions that need to be made around a race day. So Alan's talked about how, when we mow the track, any rail movements that we have, any chemical sprays or fertiliser sprays, and watering and irrigation, which is a big thing, which is obviously related back to the weather forecast. So my role really is to help support his team. He's been here 20 years. He's hugely skilled at what he does, with a great reputation. Don't get a big head listening to this, by the way. But I really see my job as enabling and empowering him to allow him and his team to prepare the site as they continue to. So, and I'm there to support any problems, any questions, any issues that we need to discuss, any ways that I can help.
A lot of teamwork then goes behind this.
Yeah, Alan has a quite a large team that works for him. 13
in total.
13 in total. So, I think one thing that people don't realise is actually the management and the coaching around, that's a really big team. Yeah. And to keep those people motivated, happy, excited for the season ahead, and to keep improving standards, that's, takes up a huge amount of your day, I would say.
My day and my brain space.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day involve for you then, in addition to managing your team?
To start with, the first thing that I do, generally probably before I've even got myself out of bed, is look at the weather, to look at the weather station to see how much rain we have had, what the temperatures have been, what they're going to be. The weather is my first port of call. And then I would, once I'm in, I will then meet up with the team. We would discuss the jobs for the day, what needs to be done, what has been done the previous day, checking and answering emails ordering any supplies, whether that's fertilisers, chemicals, grass seed, soil, or any machinery repairs that need to be done, and then get on with some hands-on work, whatever that may be, whether that's irrigation, whether that's mowing, whether that's spraying, and then checking in with the team again later on in the day to see how they're getting on. Check the weather again. Check the weather probably about 5 times during the day, and then basically prepare for the following day. Work schedules, to try and land running the following day.
And Andrew, you mentioned that you are in charge of picking the different types of races and things like that. Is that in addition to what your normal day looks like?
Yeah, so I would incorporate that into my day. So I would be sort of more office-based than Alan would be. But I kind of have this thing where I hate sitting down. So I constantly have to get up and walk around. So I tend to pop up at probably the most inconvenient places. I love coming down, walking around and seeing what the team's up to, looking at areas that I think we can improve upon. At the moment, being so new to my role, I'm asking so many questions, just constantly walking around asking, why are we doing this? What's this about? How can we do that better? How can we do it differently? So yeah, I'm sort of office-based, but I'm constantly out and about as well, just to help lend my support and assistance to Alan and the team where I can, but also just to improve my own knowledge and skill set.
You just appear.
I do, yeah.
Just appear.
Materialise.
Yeah,
I do.
With a puff of smoke, you just turn around and he's there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming then that the weather doesn't affect your role, but you, Alan, mentioned quite a few times about the weather. So how does it affect your role?
The weather is basically the driving force for everything that we do, and that is as much Andrew as myself. The weather, it's really hard to probably comprehend how much of an impact the weather has, even if that's the forecast and it's wrong, or the current weather, and that can be from 2 weeks prior to a race meeting, because if we were talking about irrigation of the track and the going, obviously the going is key to a race day. If you're forecasted it's going to be dry and warm for the next 2 weeks, then you want to be starting irrigating well in advance. Alternatively, if it's going to be wet for the next 2 weeks, then that gives you more headaches surrounding whether that's the application of a fertilizer or the mowing of grass, and general site presentation. If everything is dry, then you get a far better presentation at the end of it than you do if it's wet. And generally, we wouldn't cut grass if it's wet, because it makes a mess, and then it just becomes more labour intensive to clean that up and try and get it where you'd like it. So it is pivotal to everything we do. And there are many days where I wish that I was that person that woke up in the morning and all I was worried about was whether I get wet walking to my car and then walking to where I work. But yeah, no, it is the biggest factor in everything that we do, to be honest.
And it's the one thing we can't control.
No. And it's
just the hardest.
It's very unpredictable in this country as well.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing, is that you're making decisions based on a forecast, and we all know that the forecasters do the best possible job they possibly can, but it is not accurate.
Generally, no, and it's subject to change. And you can speak to a meteorologist in the morning, and they will be honest and say, we're not sure, or we're not certain, which doesn't help.
No, you can't predict.
It's quite sad, but we have a contract with a weather company who provide us with a weather forecast twice a day, and the email pings in the inbox at 6:21 in the morning, and it's probably the first thing that we both do is read that email.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very precise time.
Well, I know that, yeah.
That's why you remember it.
That's why I remember
so
it.
Precise.
It is so precise, yeah.
And I know that you've mentioned a couple of things, but what would you say is the most difficult part of your role?
For me, it would be an injury to a participant, whether that would be a horse or a rider. You know, the safety of the participants is our number one thing. It's what we strive to improve constantly. We're really proud of the industry, I think, which has done huge amounts to improve welfare generally. Sadly, injuries do happen, and that would be the hardest. a thing that I would personally have to deal with.
Yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice. It's part of the job, and it's part of the industry we're in, but it's not nice. For me, no, I'm sticking with weather. Yeah,
Weather is the worst part.
It's the biggest bane of my life, and it takes over your life. It literally does take over your life, and even if I'm not at work, I'm still looking at the weather. Is it going to rain? When's it going to rain? How long is it going to rain for?
No.
And then on the flip side to that, you then have the rest of the year when on earth is it going to rain? Please just rain. It's definitely the weather for me is the worst part of the job.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that 6:21. I feel like that's if that's how you start your day. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm taking that one. So you've both been here. Well, you've both been in the industry for very long. Right. Do you both think that you'll stay here for a long time, or do you see yourselves going anywhere else?
Will I be? I have no plans on going anywhere. When I started here 20 years ago, not in a million years did I think that I would still be here 20 years later. It's a great place to work. I mean, you can look outside, and it's just you are in touch with nature, and it's just they're uninterrupted views, and it's so picturesque. There's so much history involved with this place. Like I say, I have no thoughts on going anywhere. But at the same time, there are other jobs out there. There are other racecourses out there. And the good thing is that there are racecourses all over the world. I believe that I'm at the best racecourse in the country. I love Newmarket. I love the place, and I see it as my own, and I take so much pride in what I do. Would I get that at another racecourse in the country? Probably not. It'd probably be no different to somebody playing for Man United and then leaving and going to play for Man City. I'd probably feel guilty for doing it. Maybe one day there may be something else somewhere else in the world.
Right, so Andrew, can you tell me what the weather's like today?
Oh, it's beautiful and sunny, isn't it? It's always beautiful and sunny in Newmarket in the UK.
Yeah.
It feels like spring for the first time in a long time. The sun's out, feels a little bit warmer. Everything's starting to grow. The trees are coming into bud. The flowers are coming out. It's a really exciting time of year.
Yeah. And can you tell me a little bit about sort of where we are at the moment?
Yeah, so we're on what we call the horse walk. So this is the area that takes the horses from the parade ring where they parade before the race, and then they go up this horse walk and out onto the track where they do the race. Mm-hmm. And then after the race, they come back down the horse walk. The horses that the winner and the horses that are in the first four go into the winner's enclosure, which is in the parade ring. And the other horses, the unplaced ones, will go into the saddling boxes, the unsaddling area you can see behind me.
Okay. I noticed there's a bit of a like electric lawnmower. Is that something that you use all the time, or just on the side over there? I've just kind of noticed it's like a Roomba.
Yeah, that's something that we're just experimenting with at the moment. So that's some robot technology. So that's a GPS controlled robot mower.
Oh,
so
that's really cool.
It cuts all the areas that you can see at the moment. It's something that we're trialing to reduce both our environmental impact in terms of diesel or petrol, and also our labour as well, to try and free up the team to be able to complete other tasks. So it's just something we've been trialing this winter, but a little bit scary. It goes the kind of future of AI, doesn't it? But it's something that we found really beneficial so far.
Right, yeah, no, I just spotted it out the corner of my eye. I was like, it's a Roomba lawnmower.
Yeah,
amazing.
He's actually been nicknamed Fred.
Oh, it's Fred, okay.
By the office staff, so yeah.
Love that. All right, well, thank you so much for this. It's been great to get chatting with you.
No problem, we'd love having you here.
Thanks. So, Alan, where are we?
So at the moment, we're on the Rowley Mile. We're just coming up to the winning line here. The Rowley Mile itself is a mile and a quarter in a straight line, 10 furlongs, and then it bears around to your left and it goes another mile and a quarter out towards Cambridge, to be honest.
It's a lot of ground to cover. So how do you maintain all of it?
So in total, with the Rowley Mile and the July course and the Beacon course, we have 28 hectares of racing surface, which is predominantly mown with a rear-mounted roller mower on the tractor. Which, yeah, I mean, the Rowley Mile takes 3 3.5 hours to mow. July course a bit less. The July course is a mile straight. So that's the mowing regime, and then outside of that, say is irrigation, rolling, which we do very, very rarely to try and prevent soil compaction.
So why do you roll the soil?
To level it out. I mean,
Okay.
the key thing for horse racing is having a level, true surface with enough moisture in it, but at the same time is level and compact, but not compact, which is a really hard task to
Yeah,
get
I can
right.
imagine. Yeah, quite a lot of different moving parts. Is there anything else that goes into the maintenance of the soil?
So there's aeration. So we would aerate, we would vertidrain the soil, which basically creates fissures within the soil, allows air to get into the pore spaces. Air and pore spaces create better root growth and better root health, because albeit that what you see on the top is the green bit, without good root structure and good root growth, you don't get that on the surface. And then outside of that, there's the nutritional program of controlled release fertilizers, and then any other nutrition that we'd put down, so whether that's seaweed or iron, for the health of the plant.
So a lot of different moving parts then to make sure that all of this is looking pretty and green.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for telling me all about it. And if you're interested in content like this, go check out our socials for more.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If we've sparked your interest and you'd like to know more, we have a whole host of resources for you to dive into. And this isn't the only episode of Race to Your Career. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the rest. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.